coached me to lead show. Thank you. And we are here with Maud Schlich. Um, you are from Germany, which is close to me. I'm in the Netherlands, while you're in the southern part of Germany, still quite some kilometers away. But compared to people from the US, for example, it's close.
Yeah, sure.
And you are a coach, which in a very specific niche, um, in the testing niche.
Yes,
So
that's right.
what I find interesting, and so we're going to dive right into that issue, and we'll go deeper in the other ones a little bit later. But is how do you work with a niche like that on Coach.me? Because I can also imagine that there's not a lot of people who do testing on Coach.me.
Yeah, that's true. But there are some, at least some, and some are clients or coaches that have no direct interest in testing, but are somewhat related. So either software developer or Agile coaches or Scrum coaches or in any kind, somewhat related. Yes, and I also had coaches that are from mathematicians or something like that, but mostly they're scientists in some way or other or engineers.
So now, for people who don't understand, what does it mean testing? What are you testing? Not you, but what are your clients testing, and why you want to teach this?
Hmm. Just imagine your life depends that the software in an airplane that you are flying with is okay. I think you would be highly interested that this one is really tested in the very intensive way that is possible. Are you?
Yes.
Yeah. Now imagine there are many, many lines of code. Let's say 1 million lines of code. And one line has one simple bug that's causing the plane to crash.
I don't want to imagine that part.
No, I think so. But you do want that there are people that really try to get this bug before the plane is delivered to anywhere, to any, to anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. Or at least let's say that's what my clients are doing. They're trying to test these things. And in order to do that, they need some techniques. They need processes, procedures, how to do this. You cannot just scan 100 million lines of code just one by one and try to find some problem in there. You need really good techniques for that.
And so, but yeah, does it mean that you will just test the software on various devices, and you do like weird things to entries to see what happens? What is that I need to do then?
Many different things. Yes, testing on different devices is something that is quite good to do in a later time of development. Typically, in an earlier time of development, you try to have really good requirements that you really know what the customer, the sponsor want to have with that piece of system or software. Then you try to get how you can test these requirements, how you can ensure that they are fulfilled. And this is done in the very early stages of development of software systems. And you try to write these things down, you try to plan according to these things, you, you do planning of testing, and you try to sketch your test cases. Let's say you have something like an elevator. It's going upstairs and downstairs. You press a button and it should go to your floor, and then you should open the doors and you should be able to go in. And as soon as you have gotten in and you press another button inside to go to another floor, the door should close and the elevator should start. So these are all things you do, triggers you have, and things that should happen according to the system. And you assume when when you are in the floor 1 and want to floor 2 and press button on floor 2, you assume you are really getting there, not stuck in between. not getting to floor 560 in whatever. So, and this you have to test. And you can test this not only with the elevator when it's built and prepared for uh, getting in that building, but you can test it way before that. If you can simulate things, you can try to monitor how the system inside is behaving. And then you can try to use different entries, as you said, and try to see if the software, the whole system will react accordingly. And because of the many, many possibilities you have to do that, you have to figure out how to use the one entry that shows you for a really high number of other possible entries, which are nearly equal, the problem, if there is a problem, or if it's okay. And to get this one entry, which is as yeah, let's say a dummy for all the other entries, then you have to have some good techniques to get on to this. And this is what I, for one part, coach.
Hmm.
How to get there, what to use as data, as testing data, how which technique might be the appropriate one. There are several, and how to use these and when to use these and with whom, because you have typically a whole team of testers. And this is one part of the coaching.
Now, if because you have been educated as a software engineer, if I'm correct.
Mhm.
So now you mainly focus on coaching and training these testers.
No,
Okay.
also the test managers, which is equally important. Sometimes in today's world, we have no longer so many testers and test managers, but whole software development teams, most often in an agile context. And so also developers do testing. So it's more or less the testing tasks I have where I coach, not so much the testers or test managers, or it's could be everybody in system development.
But do you now feel more like a coach or more like an engineer?
More like a coach. That's why I said it's only one part of the coaching. Most often, test managers or scrum masters or people who are in system development also deal with many human issues, with many soft skills that are not so well done. They need to tell their management that the system shouldn't be released to the deadline time because of too many bugs or too many risks or whatever. So it's a good idea to teach or coach also other things, like how do I present numbers of testing? How do I show metrics? How to come up with metrics in testing? Or how to be the one who's telling the bad message? Or how to get the team the testing job done, or how to tell the developers from an outside testing team that they have to do much to as a rework because the quality is not good enough. So lots of things besides only the testing techniques, which may be only engineering part.
Hmm. It- I have a client who writes software and they have testers, but it was like the last part of the improvements that they did to to get better on the testing part. Do you see that that's that's like the normal case, that testing is like the closing part of the development in the end for a company?
It has been for long years, but that has changed many companies. I'm glad for that because the earlier testers are involved in the whole software development, the better the quality will be, and the uh, cost efficiency will be much better. Imagine you have some requirements, and there is some contradictory thing inside between two requirements. So A contradicts B, and you have a tester who is doing a review on the requirement together with other people, and he finds this because he's imagine of test case can I test A and B, and then he finds, oh, there's a contradiction in there, there's something wrong there, and now he finds it right soon after the requirement has been written down, and then he can you can try to let it be corrected very soon, very early. And there has been a guy who's Barry Boehm in the US, and he has some rule that from each phase to the next phase, the cost factor for correcting a problem is 10. So finding a problem in the requirements may be $1, €1, whatever. But finding it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 phases later is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros adding. So we are getting to 10,000, hundreds of thousands of euros or US dollars to correct that one problem when you find it that late, as you have described before.
Yeah.
So testing the late phase should more or less be to gain trust in the system, to do acceptance, but the real problems should have been found earlier.
And also that means at that time you, as a tester, need to understand what the customer wants. What is the requirement that the customer had, or what are they expecting? And that's, I think that can be a pretty difficult part. How do you teach that?
There is a method to do that. And it's partly requirements elicitation and requirements engineering, which helps you to do this, which is typically the task of a business analyst. But it's good for testing people to have at least some basic foundations of that stuff, of these techniques, of these methods. And on the other side is there is something which is called static testing. So testing where you are only looking at things. This is typically a review of artifacts like requirements, documents, could also be called inspection. Perhaps you have heard that once before. And while looking at these documents with these special reading techniques that help you really find the problems, you're getting them much better. You're getting them with more security. So it's sure that you get them, let's say.
Right.
And these techniques are very old, Michael Fagan from the US has distributed a paper on software inspection 1976. So quite a long time ago.
Yeah. Interesting. And you focus on testing just for software, right?
It's for whole systems with software in them.
Right.
So I have nearly never done anything without any software components in them. But it's really often it's embedded software. So it's some hardware device, which software is controlling the most of it, where there's a human machine interface. So you can configure your piece of hardware. Think of your kitchen. There's so many software inside, the dishwasher, for example, or your oven most probably has some software inside. Even the regulation of the temperature of your fridge is controlled via software. So you don't see it, but it is there, and you want it to function correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also learned about testing about how the humans respond and how you could manipulate maybe humans to do something different than what they were expected to do. But that's more like, access, for
Hmm.
example, to buildings. That's not something that you do, right?
Well,
You are a coach on this part, and
hmm.
you are also an entrepreneur. This is your business,
Yes.
and your business is called the Qualiteers,
Yeah. Well.
and you work with other people in that business.
Yeah.
How do you work together? What do you do together? Is it because for me, I am the only one in my business, and I'm the only coach. But what? How do you work together with other people in your business?
Okay. Most of them, we are when we are working in with customers, then coaching is when we are on site at the customer. And then coaching is partly built from workshops you do, from really coaching, which is doing the right questions, getting the right, getting some answers, and trying to again question if the answer was, let's say, deep enough, or if that's to get the people you coach to do more reflections on their habits, like coach.me does, on their everyday life, on how they react and how they act in certain situations. And to have a team means you can, in with larger groups, you can divide these. Somebody can really care for a smaller group of people if it's a large team, or you can have somebody who's merely doing the workshop and afterwards the coaching is done only by me. So yeah, differently, very differently.
Right, right. And so that they are people who you hire on specific projects.
Yeah.
If you look at what you do, you
Hmm.
have a couple of programs on Coach.me. I'm going to show them
Yeah.
here. And so this is your profile on Coach.me. And you have here a number of offerings in your profile.
Hmm.
Um, how does habits, because you already mentioned habits, how does habits make a part of, for example, your packages in related to testing?
If you imagine a test manager, he's managing a testing team. Um, if he has a good a good habits in doing that, in doing his work, he may much easier lead his team to success. For example, to have some sort of stand-up meeting every morning with a team. I also try to get test managers to have a special stand-up meeting with developers. So, but needn't be daily, maybe only weekly or twice a week, whatever, depends on the project. And there you could really have a habit to try to show the developers your most important bugs you found, the most to highlight things so they really understand why this is an issue, why it should be done as soon as possible, corrected as soon as possible, um, to show problems in usability, which developers are not so good at,
Hmm.
and to make that more clear to them. So this is one possible habit they can try to do regularly. Other habits are if you are a testing coach, not a test manager, but testing coach in an agile team, then there's no hierarchy. Yeah, you're just the one expert for testing, which is asked for testing or is not asked for testing. So you want to be asked, I guess, because you want to help people and you need to know what problems they have. So there are some habits that help you getting there. Habits like asking, habits like joining at the coffee machine. Yeah. Very small, very tiny habits, for example, but these can help.
What is what is the smallest habit that you start with your clients usually?
Um, Getting the one thing prioritized that they want to focus on that day.
Right. It's a very familiar one.
Yeah, I thought so. But yes, but it's a good one.
Yes, I agree. I agree. I use it a lot. It's a very important thing.
Yeah.
And do you use habits in your work? Do you use habits in your practice?
Yeah, sure. Very many habits.
So you're really a person of habits.
Yeah, I really like them very much because I think they help me to structure my day. They help me to get things done just as because they're a habit. I'm not thinking about them. I'm just doing them, so they're done more easily, more quickly. Yeah, and there are habits that help me to get in contact with people or to stay in contact. That's much more difficult for me personally to stay in contact with people that are no longer my customers, but I'd like to stay there in contact because like to know what's getting out of projects, what has happened since between we last met or talked about. And this is, for example, a habit I have really to remind myself on of to do that regularly. So, for
Right.
example, yeah, so to have a habit of making myself appointments to call people on a regular day, for example.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
use a software tool for that?
just an ordinary calendar.
Oh, okay. Okay. And if Kendra Kinnison, the CEO of Coach at Me, talks about no, I forgot the name of that. One habit that makes the difference for all the other habits that you do. So if you do this one habit, everything changes and make all the other habits possible. A keystone habit. That was the word I'm
Hmm.
looking for. So, what is your keystone habit?
Hmm. Yeah, the one and only. Even if it's not not so really interesting, but or maybe boring, but yes, the one focus on one thing a day.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know it's boring, but and repeating, but
yeah,
yeah, that's what me helps me most, and therefore I need use the momentum uh, browsers add-in, which helps me quite a lot to focus and to remember myself. That's what I want to do today, and not
yeah,
all the other urgent but not really important things.
yeah. Sounds familiar. Yeah, for me, it's my walk in the morning.
Ah, mm-hmm.
When I do the work, everything becomes. When I do the walk, not the work. When I do the walk, everything becomes easier.
Ah,
Just be out like for 45 minutes and just stretch my legs and start a day with that. That's really helping me to make a better day.
I start my day nearly every day also with making sports. Yeah, but I
Yeah,
haven't thought of it. Yeah, but yes, you are right.
it is a habit. It is a
Yeah.
habit.
And I close my day with playing saxophone.
Oh yeah, you're also a musician. Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So non-business things here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's life is more about than just business, right?
Yeah, sure.
if,
Very, very true.
if you look at the because you have now been an owner for your company since 2005, and you had a company before that earlier. But what is the most important thing that you learned from your jobs, the thing that you did as an employee?
Most important thing, I'm not sure, but perhaps to stay free, to stay honest, to stay true to oneself, even with the danger of getting fired, even in the danger of not behaving as a manager might think you should, uh,
Hmm.
but just to be authentic. And what my lesson learned was always that in trying to stay authentic and trying to be honest, um, my direct manager might be angry about me, but there always is somebody in the top management who is thankful for that. And if
Interesting.
there isn't, it's good to quit.
How do you use that part now today?
I'm very. I have no problems talking with anybody in any kind of management hierarchy. So if I deem it right, then I call and I tell them what I think nicely, but I know what to say. Yeah, and this is one way. The other way is I've talked about the reviews I did. Yeah, and to have reviews of documents, you have to have people inside the review team, which are no managers. So there should be peer reviews led by colleagues, and sometimes managers try to attend to see what's happening there. And I have no problem to take them outside and tell them that they are not. I don't want to have them inside. And I've nearly every time they were thankful for that because I explained why and they understood.
I can imagine, but I can also understand that this is a difficult thing
It's in the
to
bravery.
do. Yeah, yeah, because you're depending on this job, and well, this not the job, but the job as an owner of your company,
Hmm.
and then you have to tell the person who maybe is hiring you or paying you that they cannot be there. That's a difficult task, I can imagine.
Yeah, but really, let's say I say 80% of the time I have to do that. They're really understanding it.
Hmm.
It depends on how you tell that, and it depends on what you promise them to do, because they have always a good not always, mostly a good intention why they want to be part of it, and you can fulfill that intention otherwise.
And why in general don't you want them in the room?
Because people act differently. If you want to, if you want to criticize the document another colleague of you did, either you do it, you are no longer honest because you try to protect your colleague,
Hmm.
or you are overdoing things because you want to show off to your manager how good you are and how bad your colleague may be. So you're not acting in the sense to really improve the document. You're just somehow changing because of the manager. And even if you think you don't, you do. Everybody does.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm just showing that Andrew Bay, I'm not sure if I say it right, but he says hello from Seattle.
Hi, Andrew.
Yeah. Um, let's see. If you, what would you think? What would you change for helping testing the coaching and testing on Coach.me? Is there something that you think could be done better?
What exactly do you mean? Did not yet get it.
Um, if working with Coach.me is because you're using these habits
Hmm.
and it's all chat based, for example, mostly chat based. Do you just work with chat based, or do you also use other forms?
I also use other forms. Chat-based helps to really try to stick to one's own goals, to be reminded of them, to clarify quick things. Yeah, um, and it has the opportunity to do things in different time zones because it's asynchronous. Um, but I also try to get to my clients via video calls where we can jointly work on boards, on whiteboards, on
Hmm.
uh, just to name some of these mural, what concept board, whatever name is. Yeah, don't want to, but these kind of boards, jam board, whatever, and it's helpful to visualize things and to jointly draw new concepts to analyze things with the help of such visualizing.
Yeah, interesting. And is your coaching then mostly focused then on the technical part, or also sometimes you have like more like personal improvements or issues?
It's always also improve in personal improvements, but I'll try to keep my line to the testing part. It's personal and concerning um, how test managers sometimes talk with their managers. I had once a coachee who was a woman, and quite young woman, and she was very unsure of herself. And this reflected very much in the emails she wrote to managers to report of her testing team. It was shining through nearly every word she did. And I really coached her on improving on these mails, how to report better, how to use different words to really make the point. And she was much more recognized for this later. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good
big
point.
difference
Yes,
actually.
yes, I can imagine. The you mentioned a couple of things that's good from coaching for using Coach.me with the asynchronous, for example, but also using the video. What is your way of getting clients? How do you get clients?
That's very differently. I've written books, and some have read them, and so they asked me if I can coach them. And before COVID, before the pandemic, I have been on many conferences and met people there, and they have to get to know me. And others just, yeah, ask the internet as usual and get to my site or to my profile on coach.me, and then they ask me. So
And
very
you have,
different.
yeah, you only have, because you only have a German website.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah, most of my clients are German speaking, or they know that I also can coach in English, because most of my clients come by just recommendation.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's good. What is the package that you usually start with?
It's it depends on what the customer does. Most are starting with set priorities,
Hmm.
just because they think they have too much to do and don't know how to get it all done. So this is mostly the first situation they come with to coach.me,
Hmm.
and therefore it's often that starting with that, but may soon evolve to something different.
And then you switch them to other packages, or you just keep the coaching
No,
and then.
um, yeah, it's sometimes they're switching packages, but sometimes it's just the issues we're talking about in the chat is just changing without
Hmm.
switching. So
Yeah. Well, I think I've asked and got answers to all my questions I had for today.
wow,
So,
good.
so that's good. To do you have anything that you want to ask or want to share that I didn't ask?
Yeah, I want to ask our participants if they have questions to me, if they want to get some insights in another way I've not yet mentioned.
Yeah, yeah. I already put that on there to ask you questions in the comments, and I watched the comments, and the
Ah,
people
I
just
see.
said hello. That was it, and that was it.
Ah,
that's
okay.
that's
What?
already a lot of great participation because usually you don't say hello, so that's good. Thank you for that.
Yeah, many are silent. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and also
Not.
I've noticed that LinkedIn sometimes is a bit slow with when the live stream is on and people just tag on a little bit later, then so that there's a lag between when you
Mhm,
watch the video and when you see
mhm,
something and you comment and people don't want to comment when I'm behind. So that's also an issue with
okay.
the live versions. Anyway,
So
um,
there's one thing I'd like to add, and this is um, I'm not only a coach, I'm also member of the German testing board. And the German testing board is one of many other boards from the International Software Testing Qualifications Board, which is the one organization who is really trying to make testing more professional. And I really recommend to anybody who's doing something in that field to take a look at this certification scheme they have there and try to do one of these courses, or at least study the material. It's not necessarily in my book they need to read, but try to study the material there is and try to get the certification at least for foundation level, because my opinion, it's much easier to talk and with one another about testing if we all speak the same language. I mean the jargon about testing, which is really helpful for all people. So this is and I don't earn anything with it. It's just really, really a recommendation to every listener here on Luca to do that.
Right. Andrew says, I'm happy to say hello, so that's good. Well, to close this one up today. I forgot. I thought I had your book somewhere, but where can people find your book?
Oh, as always, on any bookstore, I have my. I'm sorry, but my book is also in German. Just a minute, like this. No,
Yeah,
it's not
is
see to
this
be seen very
yeah,
easily.
yeah,
So
here. But then it's in the other
it's
script.
blurred, yeah.
Yeah.
It's called Software Testing After or Nach ISTQB for Dummies in the For Dummies series. And I'm currently writing on the third um, edition.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah.
Let's see if I can quickly get to it. To show
Thank
it
you,
on
Andrew.
the
That's nice
screen.
to say.
Mode. Let's see if that works. Yeah, here it is. Here it is, and I can show it here now. Okay. Here.
Yes,
This
exactly.
is
That's
the
the
book.
first edition. Now we have a second currently, which is made in blue, and the next one I don't know the color, but it's currently written. So it's easy to look after my name because I'm, at least in Germany, the only person with the exact fore and after name.
Yeah, that's
There's no
always
other
nice.
one.
Yeah, that's always nice.
Yeah.
I like that too. And well, if that is it, oh, here, this is good to give you a compliment. Maud is a terrific coach. Here you go.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you for today, for you guys who are listening. As always, the video will be posted Monday on blog.coach.me, video and the audio. And well, thank you for joining us today as a listener and participator. And we will see you next Friday again at 9 a.m. Central or 4 p.m. Central European Time. Thank you, Maud.
Thank you, and have a very nice time, all of you, and also please all our participants. Thank you very much.
Oh, there was one more note. Oh, I, I have to add this note from
Oh,
Andrew.
yes, that's great. Thank you. You're very welcome. So, have a nice time and enjoy testing and enjoy using your software without